Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor for me to take part in this conference, and a bit intimidating also after all this inspiring presentation. And yes, standing between you and lunchtime, it's doubly impressive. If I could get the presentation on the screen, please. So I'm here to decline another shade of blue. We talked about blue economy. I'm here to talk about blue energy. And more specifically, to talk about tidal stream power, a resource that is present all around the globe and which could be particularly interesting for remote communities such you can have in Arctic Circle. So first, where can you find the marine resource? Well, places have large tidal ranges, such as in the northern part of Canada, where you have permanent oceanic currents. So with the Gulf Stream, I think that the Arctic Circle is well served. And with areas with specific topography, such as the place between island and continent, underwater relief, where you'll have a funneling effect and the currents will be stronger. So what are the main advantages of tidal? The first one is the predictability. By the very nature of tidal currents, you can exactly foresee and forecast when you're going to produce power and how much. So that's the main asset. The second is that it's inexhaustible and reliable. And the first and not the least one is that it's clean energy. So the sea does not provide us only with food, but also with a great resource of energy. That's why we're trying to develop solutions to harness this power. For example, with a rotor of 10-meter diameter, with a current of 4 meters per second, you can harness up to 1 megawatt power output. So that's what we've been trying to develop over the years with Sabella. So Sabella is a French company, as you may have noticed from my accent. So we began in the year 2000 with the first concepts, and in the year 2008 we immersed the very first prototype in France of Blandine. In 2015, so a few years later, we deployed the first full-scale prototype that we call D10. It's a 1 megawatt turbine, and it was tested for 1 year off an island called Ushant. So it's an off-grid area, it's not connected to the mainland, and the turbine provided electricity for 1 year to this island. In 2016, we retrieved the turbine at the end of the authorization period, and we had an extensive checkup and optimization of this device in order to capitalize on the return on experience that we gained during this 1 year campaign. Now we are in 2018, we are about to redeploy the D10 turbine, so you can check the news this summer, and I hope that you will see that the D10 went back to water. And it will stay in the water for 3 years until we deploy the first tidal power plant in France, so off Ushant for a 20-year operation period, with this time 2 tidal turbines coupled with wind power and solar panels and energy storage. So now let's just focus a bit on the technology. I won't go in depth on the technology. I will be very happy to discuss that with you after over lunch or anything. So this technology is very simple. That's really our motto. We have people from the oil and gas sector, and we know that even if the sea can be very giving, it's also a very harsh environment, and the simpler and more reliable, the better to secure your energy supply. So that's our credo, simplicity and ruggedness in order to increase the reliability and cut down the costs. So that's declined over different technological choices. So the first one is a horizontal axis to improve the yield. The second one is that we have a gravity-based structure. There is no piling, no drilling, so it's neutral to the environment. And you can deploy it on the seabed, so there is no impact on marine traffic or on the fisheries. The third point is fixed symmetrical blades. So that's really to keep it simple, to be as sturdy as possible, and decrease the needs for maintenance. 4 points is the modularity. We can pick up only the upper part of the turbine and leave the support structure, so that's easier for the maintenance operation. Fifth thing is the low rotation speeds. The maximum speed is 15 rotations per minute, so it's really a slow rotation speed. So that's why it's neutral also for the marine fauna. And the final point is a bit technical, is a choice of generator with no gearbox, so that there is no wearing part and we decrease the needs for maintenance over time. So based on these technologies that we've been developing since the year 2000, that we've tried 2 times, we are promoting a new energy solution, especially for remote communities and off-grid areas. Why is that? It's because today these areas mainly rely on diesel generators, which entails high environmental impacts, such as noise emissions, such as greenhouse gas emissions, and which also has a cost. So we are developing this new paradigm for these areas, a paradigm based on hybrid solution, mixing currents, standard renewable energies, smart grid, and energy storage. And that's what we are illustrating in Ushant Island. In Ushant Island, so the island in Ushant that we are experimenting with, in 3 steps. So the first step was the D10 device that you can see on the left side of the slide. So the first step is a technology demonstration. It started in the year 2015. It was deployed in the Fromver passage, which is a very well-known passage in France with very strong currents. So perfect for this kind of energy. And we've been operating the turbine for 1 year, injecting electricity to the grid, monitoring the impact on the environment, and also all the mechanical and electrical behavior of the turbine. So this was really the demonstration to show that the technology works, it produces electricity, and it has no impact on the environment. Second step is a long-term campaign, which we call ICE, with an integrated solution, a solution integrating tidal and energy storage. So the D10 will go back in the water this summer for 3 years this time, and we will reach full power output, and we will couple the energy production from the turbine with energy storage onshore to smooth the energy production, and also as an additional safety to the grid, as Ushant's off-grid, so we cannot mess up with their grids. The expected production is 1 gigawatt hour per year, so and the annual consumption in Ushant is about 7 gigawatt hours. So you see that one turbine can penetrate the energy mix quite significantly. Third and final step of this project is the FAR project, and it's the final stage, so the fuel-free island model deployed completely. So we are working on that with an energy company. And the idea is to couple tidal with 2 turbines, with 1 wind turbine, solar panels, and an increased energy storage capacity. Everything handled through smart grid systems. And all in all, we should be able to cover more than 80% of Ushant's energy need and save more than 2 million liters of fuel per year. And this farm, so we intend to commission it in 2021, and it will be operating for 20 years. This 3-step development, we can apply it to all the remote communities where we have this tidal resource. So, for example, in the Faroe Islands, there are several challenges regarding the energy generation, so still strong dependence on fossil fuel, the intermittency of wind and hydropower with a limited supply also, limited land use also. So there is still a lack of flexibility to the grid, and we could see that tidal could be a solution to achieve the targets that are set by the government and the energy company in the Faroe Islands. So there is a very ambitious target of 100% carbon-free electricity by 2030, and there are concrete steps that are taken to achieve the target. So investment in wind power, in energy storage, in grid stabilization system, and it bears fruit, as already 51% of the energy production derived from green energy in 2017. So what can Tidal, how can Tidal help in achieving this target? So it was already identified as soon as 2014. The resource is there in several fjords, in Vestmanasund, in Lerviksfjord, in Skopona fjords. And the intermittency, which is also inherent to tidal, can be tackled through energy storage, through the difference of time difference in peak tides. And also, as we saw in this movie, the Faroese people are sea people, they are seamen and women. So there is a synergy that can be exploited here with the knowledge of the marine environment, the pool of academic institutions, the leading industrial players. So that's how we can bet on that. I'll wrap it up. So we can duplicate what I presented you with the Oceans model to the Faroese case, mixing the different types of energy and building a stronger and more flexible grid for the future. So we can see exactly the same 3 steps: a demonstration project, proving that the technology works here, adapting it to subarctic conditions also, and then extending the project with a step up with a pilot farm up to 5 gigawatts, and finally deploy multiple commercial tidal stream power plants around the country to have this, to provide this baseload and complement with other resources, green resources. So I presented you the case of the Faroe Islands, but this is typically what we can duplicate in remote places, and I hope that we can work together to build a more sustainable and efficient system, power system, so that we can support growth and growth in the Arctic Circle. Thank you.